Good Sunday morning to you. Welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jay Burr. Well, we've had a lot to get to, from D.C. statehood to a border trip. Congressman French Hill joining us. He's here. He is here.
We're in the house.
In the flesh. How about that? It's good to have you back, boss.
Great to be back in studio.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it here. You took a little trip down to the border to kind of see things firsthand. What did you take away from there? What did you see when you went down there?
This was my 7th trip to the border between Texas and California. This is my 2nd time to McAllen. I was there in April 2019 when the caravans were coming during the Trump administration. President Trump took action by working with Mexico on the Remain in Mexico policy for families and unaccompanied minors who want to try to seek asylum in the U.S. He also worked with the Triangle countries of Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador for some planning. That lowered the pressure on the border. But when President Biden took office, he did away with all that. And, you know, we learn in business, you don't ever do away with a policy without something to replace it. And Joe Biden stopped those Trump policies, and that's produced a catastrophic amount of humanitarian pressure on our southern border.
And I guess, you know, is that more what it is? It's humanitarian. It's people just trying to come into the country. Not necessarily illegally, but, you know, trying to go through the process here. And it's just, is it more or less just kind of a big log jam down there? Or
no, they're coming in the country illegally. I mean, these are people who are being trafficked by the cartels. The cartels, we had a hearing in February alone, made $400 million in human trafficking, about $14.5 million a day, bringing people across the American border into the U.S. It's just that when Biden ended the border enforcement and encouraged people to come forward, that Trump's policy was no more, you had people coming and present themselves because families are allowed in the country, catch and release. They're allowed to go to wherever they're going, same with unaccompanied minors. And when we do that, the Border Patrol takes its eye off the main job, which is stopping drug smuggling, gun smuggling, human trafficking of MS-13 or terror suspects, because they're all concentrated in the humanitarian crisis. So we're overwhelmed, and my advice to President Biden is he ought to go to the border. As we tape this show today, Kamala Harris, who's ostensibly in charge of the border, is in a border state, but it's New Hampshire. It's not Texas, it's not California. So there are ways to fix this, and we've given President Biden our suggestions from House Republicans on how to fix this.
I know another hot button issue up there on the Hill right now is can we make D.C. a state of its own? Some kind of arguments for and against here on both sides here. Kind of where do you stand on that? How do you see this maybe unfolding?
Yeah, I voted no on D.C. statehood last Congress, and I voted no this week for a very clear reason, which is our founders created a federal district for the federal government to be not a state on purpose. It was a part of the design of the Constitution. It was a part of the compromise of creating our final Constitution. So the District of Columbia was land taken from both Virginia and Maryland back in the late 18th century. When it was determined we didn't need the Virginia land, it was given back to Virginia. So the District of Columbia now is essentially all on the north side of the Potomac River. This, in my view, is not a constitutional proposal, that you would have to change the Constitution to allow the district to become a state. I don't think it's good policy. I don't think it's in the keeping in the intent of our government. And furthermore, look, the federal government is in charge of the District of Columbia by virtue of the Constitution. We pay for much of the activity there, and they do have representation, with Eleanor Holmes Norton representing them in the House of Representatives.
And I guess, too, when it comes to D.C., is this purely looked at as sort of a power grab? Because they already get the electoral votes.
Correct.
Now they're wanting the representation, but I guess compromise would be, well, if you want the representation, just give it back to Maryland.
Well, that would be the logic, or move to Maryland. If you're so upset about this, I think the living accommodations are nice there. I think it is a power grab because D.C. is a traditional Democratic voting area. If that territory got 2 senators, you tip the power in the Senate to the Democratic Party. This is not a new thing. It's something that's been talked about for many, many years. But in my view, the way they're going about it is not the right way.
Now, something you've been working on, at least you've submitted here recently, the Practical Act. What is that? I know it's got a little something to do with the Paycheck Protection Program.
Right. So the Practical Act I introduced in the House with my friend Christy Houlihan, who's a Democrat from Pennsylvania, and Rob Portman introduced it in the Senate. It takes the Paycheck Protection Program, which was one of the most successful parts of the CARES Act, passed bipartisan to help our small businesses through the pandemic, and it specifically helps restaurants and retailers. Here's why. The SBA only funds and measures performance on calendar quarters, 3/31, 6/30. The Practical Act says if you're a business that runs on a rolling 13-week employment or revenue schedule like retailers and restaurants do, you can still get that second paycheck protection loan. So I hope that there'll be movement on that bill in the Senate as early as this week, and that we can get it passed to help our restaurants.
You mentioned restaurants, but what about to the sort of the rest of the hospitality industry, you know, the hotel industry,
right,
some of the tourism, especially here in Arkansas, big industry here.
Yep. Well, anyone who runs their accounting on a 13-week rolling basis would be benefited. So it's not a specific restaurant issue. It's just that a lot of retailers and restaurants follow that calendar. And live music venues, charter buses, all were benefited in the year-end bipartisan spending bill that continued to help the CARES Act theme.
And I guess quickly here, I know infrastructure has been a big issue that's kind of come up in one way or another. And I know a lot of times people think, you know, roads, bridges, things like that. But when it comes to infrastructure now, especially from this past winter, we got to think power grids, even, you know, broadband, things like that. You know, kind of where's Congress at with addressing some of these? And I know like the Jobs Act and everything is kind of part of that as well.
Yeah. So President Biden's proposed another $2 trillion in spending on infrastructure with a $2 trillion tax increase. Both of these, I think, are not appropriate. They're not the right thing for the economy. But infrastructure, just for example, in his $2 trillion pitch, less than 25% went to roads, bridges, waterways, even broadband, including broadband in that. So it was really, to me, a massive government spending program with a huge tax increase that wasn't really focused on infrastructure. In the Senate, you see compromise starting. And we do need to do a 5-year reauthorization of the federal highway program this year. So I'm hoping that that pressure will give us a more targeted approach on infrastructure, including what is the gap remaining in broadband we've got to try to tackle.
Yeah, definitely a big thing to tackle here in the state. All right, we went to the big picture here. Congressman Hill is going to stick around here. We're going to bring it a little more local here. Going to bring it a little closer to home here with some issues here. You're watching Capitol View Sunday Morning. We got more coming up here with Congressman French Hill.
Vacation at home sale at Family Leisure Patio Furniture. The largest in-stock selection at guaranteed lowest prices. Make a splash this summer with a new swimming pool. High-quality swing sets on sale now. Melt away stress. Spas and swim spas are priced to move. Vacation at home sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Come and enjoy a new experience in shopping for your home. At Aladdin Rugs and Home Decor, we have over 5,000 rugs in the latest colors and styles. Bring your pillows, your pillow shams, and sizes. We will help you select the perfect rug. We're #1 in customer service with 15,000 square feet of rugs, unique home decor, wallpaper, and flooring. Remember, buy today, take it home today, and save. Why wait?
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Attention Greers Ferry Lake home buyers and pilots. Sky Point Estates Luxury Home Auction at 54 Airport Road in Edgemont, Arkansas, with a Swiss chalet-inspired 4,000 square foot custom home, 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms in the main home, large airplane hangar with 1,300 square feet of living space, selling regardless of price in its entirety, Wednesday, May 5th at 11 a.m. For auction details, go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
The value at Success Vision is incredible.
The prices are really good because they make them here in the store.
By far the easiest way to buy glasses.
I mean, we're talking designer frames, high-end quality.
Within a few hours, I got my eye exam and 2 pair of no-line bifocals for $99.
All of the lens upgrades and the latest technologies. I was really impressed.
Only at Success Vision.
2 pair for $39 in an hour for less. Come see us today, Success Vision Express.
Vacation at home sale at Family Leisure Patio Furniture. The largest in-stock selection at guaranteed lowest prices. Make a splash this summer with a new swimming pool. High-quality swing sets on sale now. Melt away stress. Spas and swim spas are priced to move. Vacation at home sale going on now at Family Leisure.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. More with Congressman French Hill, bringing in a little closer to home here. Let's talk a little bit about the legislative session that's been going on here. It's been feisty. It's been, you know, full of fun, if you will, here. But a couple of big things here. I know the Second Amendment, big issue here. A lot of pushback here of late to the federal government. You know, maybe not get into the minutia of things here, but what do you kind of think of that as basically the state of Arkansas? We're going to ignore presidential orders and things like that, any gun regulation when it comes to the federal level?
Well, there's not a stronger supporter of American Second Amendment rights, and I view all the Bill of Rights as important, and I stand for all of them and try to promote policies that support everybody's individual rights of liberties in this country. And so the federal government, when they attempt to regulate in the Second Amendment area in firearms, they come up against that Second Amendment. And the Supreme Court has been very, I think, loyal to the traditional writing of the Second Amendment on people's individual liberty to own and bear arms. Then you pivot, though, and you start saying, well, we don't follow, you know, a federal government or the U.S. Supreme Court. I think you can run into some challenges there. So my view would be, I haven't studied this legislation. I know it's a theme in many legislatures around the country, but by and large, state law and federal law attempts to be in sync. We have a classic case where it isn't, marijuana, for example, and where marijuana is not in sync with federal law, we've had federal law, you know, survive or be superior to it. So I think that has to be considered controversial if you're going to try to not follow federal law. With that said, in my view, there's a big support for the Second Amendment in this country, the American people, the Republicans in the House and Senate in Washington, and we're going to defend it.
Would you call, you know, regulation or just rules in general limiting that Second Amendment? I mean, not to get into some of the gun control debate, but, you know, limiting what types of firearms, what types of ammunition you can buy. Not necessarily, I guess, saying you can't own certain types of ammunition, but other types of ammunition. I mean, would you consider that okay, that it's not necessarily taking away rights, we're just kind of limiting that right?
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled on whether something's a violation of that Second Amendment, and they've laid out those groundworks. When I hear about magazine sizes and things like that, for example, the Supreme Court has ruled on that time and time again. So in my view, I think we've got a balance where we protect people's individual rights. And what we need to be focused on in this country is a culture that says killing people with a gun, killing people in mass, killing people with a knife, all that's wrong. And we have a cultural challenge in this country. But we also have an effort to harden schools, harden our public spaces, do more education. And Republicans have supported all those things, like more rigorous background checks, funding the background check system, closing various challenges with that, or providing support for safer schools for our kids. This is a bipartisan issue, but we also have to protect, you know, those Second Amendment individual rights of our American citizens.
And it's also been an issue at the national level, just transgender issues. Several bills passed here, not necessarily limiting health care, but limiting when people can maybe go through that process, things of that nature. Kind of where do you stand? Because I know there was even some national level bills that kind of dealt with some of these issues as well.
Well, we haven't dealt with it per se, but when you're talking about kids' health under 18 years old and making health decisions there, that's a very touchy subject between parents, physicians, and public policy. And I think we ought to have it the most conservative we can on not causing any additional stress to those kids going through puberty and adolescence. And I've heard the arguments on both sides. My view is that we ought to be very conservative about trying to change sex of kids going through puberty in a way that could even create more emotional stress. So I'm very cautious about that. On the transgender athlete issue of a transgender female competing in girls athletics, for example, which was the nature of it. To me, that just seems to be unfair to me, and I understand why parents, teachers, coaches, and public officials are concerned about it. That seems patently unfair to me.
Now, I know you guys deal a lot with taxes, and it's a very complicated tax code at the national level here, but some ground trying to be made here at the state level to maybe limit that state income tax. Now, you're an Arkansas resident, so you can kind of get your hot take in here. You know, what do you think of lowering the state income tax, especially on the heels of the RSA announcement where, you know, Governor Hutchinson announced, you know, $600 million-ish in a surplus?
Yeah. Well, first of all, my hat's off to the legislature and the governor to continue the Arkansas conservative approach of balancing our budget, reducing state bureaucracy. In fact, I think this is the first decline in a state budget in a number of years. And we end up with over a $600 million surplus. I think that's a sign of good management. I do support lowering, you know, our personal income tax over time, and I was appalled that the President Biden's $1.9 trillion spending bill that was untargeted and I think way off the mark could potentially limit states' ability to cut taxes for their citizens. I find that ridiculous, and I hope that we prevail in that debate, that we, in fact, if we run a surplus, we can certainly return funding to the Arkansas people while shrinking the size of government. So I'm supportive of that, and again, my hat's off to the governor and the legislature for their conservative fiscal affairs.
And even, too, when it does come to that budget, you know, they seem to be doing the same amount of work. Everything's fully funded. But they are spending a lot less when it comes to, and I know a lot of people say, you know, when you start spending, government is usually one of the things that does not get cut. Do you think this is something that maybe Washington can maybe take a look at?
Well, I've said that for the 6 years I've served in the House. It took me almost 4 years to get a balanced budget amendment vote on the House floor. Wow. It lost. But I continue to advocate for that. And look, Jay, we are growing. President Biden's proposing a 16% increase in domestic spending in this country. And, you know, you can tell somebody where their priorities are on where they spend their time and where they propose to spend their money, time and treasure. President Biden's proposed a 0 increase for the national defense of this country, and he's proposed a 0 increase for Homeland Security in this country in his budget he's sending to Congress. So we've got to rein in our spending in this post-pandemic environment, and we've got to set priorities. Our state's doing a good job, the federal government not so much.
All right, so there you have it here. Finally back in studio.
Good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to have you back in here. A little face-to-face here. The Zoom thing, you know, you kind of get the glare sometimes. It's not, I appreciate it for what it is, but nothing better than having you back in studio. Again, Congressman French Hill here. Boss, we appreciate it. Let's do it again.
We'll do it.
All right. Well, when we come back, we've got more from the legislature, at least from this past week. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Attention Central Arkansas home buyers, builders, and residential developers. Sunset Ranch Estates Home and Absolute Land Auction, Thursday, April 29th at 11 a.m. at 5101 Sparks Road in Little Rock. This 2,700 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3-bath home sits on 24 beautiful acres with a large metal barn. Also selling the adjoining 36 acres of improved pasture with Foosh Creek frontage, offered in 2 tracts and the entire 60 acres. Selling regardless of price. Go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
If you have a dollar and two relatives, you need estate planning. The Nash Law Firm invites you to a free seminar and a meal on us. Come find out how important yet easy it is to make sure your family is protected. Call the Nash Law Firm today to reserve a seat.
Yeah, Reggie, it's always tough having to say goodbye.
Whoa, hold up.
Oh, the honey butter chicken biscuit is $1.99 all month.
This is great. I'm never leaving now.
We made the deal too good.
Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's and get the breakfast you deserve.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Attention real estate buyers. Check out what's coming up on the Wilson Auction Block. A luxury home in Sky Point Estates, Air Park Subdivision. Homes near Greersbury Lake and Lake Washita. Farms in Damascus, Quitman, and West Little Rock. Commercial property in Hot Springs and Hot Springs Village. And on May 6th, 240 acres of row crop and timberland in Desert with excellent hunting. Download the Wilson app and bid now.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back into Capitol View. The 1-cent sales tax has hit a snag here in Little Rock, and most supporters we spoke with say they would vote for it if it benefited the right things. Ideas citizens had, boosting tourism, cleaning up streets, and taking care of our parks, just a few, but not everyone was on board.
We did not receive the 8 votes to go to a second reading.
Weeks after its introduction, Mayor Frank Scott Jr.'s sales tax increase has stalled.
Anyone want to talk about why you voted no?
With board members refusing to talk until next week, the debate surrounding the tax now heads to the people.
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
For Nicholas Sanders, the permanent boost is worth the money it would raise.
We'd lose a lot of funds because people are willing to drive 2 hours over to Memphis, or they'll go over to Tunica when we can bring those things here.
He feels funds should go to tourism in the Rock, adding attractions that would boost the economy.
If we can get like a Top Golf like they have up in Northwest Arkansas.
Howard Lewis is also on board, but asks where the money would go.
It's always a good thing to raise the money, but it's also important where that money is going to be allocated to.
For him, infrastructure is a priority.
Roads is always going to be a big deal.
But of the areas funded through the tax, road resurfacing is fairly low. This concern over allocation was echoed in Tuesday's meeting.
Housing would receive only 4%. The zoo gets 9%.
Greg Moore spoke on behalf of Arkansas community organizations. He said it's unfair to be voting on a tax increase while the city is still reeling from a pandemic.
We are, as an organization, in opposition to any new sales tax proposed while we are still recovering from a year of economic hardship.
And he isn't alone. Concerned citizens also wrote to the board, making it clear their vote would be no.
Until I see some real change, I will be voting against any tax increase.
And that was Katrin Asaf reporting. Board members will have a second chance to go over that proposal. They'll be meeting this Tuesday in a special session to tackle the ordinances once more. If passed, citizens will be able to vote on that increase July 13th. A bill that was making its way through the Capitol would have given businesses a tax break for hiring convicted felons. The bill says the recidivism rate for prisoners released in 2013 was 52% within 3 years of their release. Now, it would create the Reboot Pilot Program, which would give businesses a $3,000 tax credit for 12 consecutive months of employment, $2,000 for 24 months and $1,000 for 36 months. Jamie Hayes, a convicted felon herself, says working is the #1 way to prevent people from going back to prison, because if they're not working, they might turn back to what got them there in the first place.
What you turn to when you get out and nobody's giving you a job, you go back to what you think, you know, what's gotten you the quick money in the past and what also landed you in prison.
This measure passed out of the House with 91 votes, but did not get out of the Senate Tax and Revenue Committee last week. Representative Robin Lundstrom says she hopes to be able to run it again before the session recesses this week. A bill requiring one school nurse in a school district to get specific school nurse training is making its way through the legislature. The bill would mandate the extra training as part of the nurses' ongoing professional development requirements. Now, in a school nurse data survey, nurses dealt with over 15,000 injuries and over 97,000 chronic illnesses in public schools. School nurse for the Benton Middle School District, Sherry Poe, says the training for school nurses is constantly evolving, especially since they cover everything from boo-boos to anaphylactic reactions.
I almost felt like when I came to work here 23 years ago that I needed ER experience because you just don't know what's going to come in that door.
To many families, that school nurse is the most important person on that campus.
Now, school nurses also take care of the faculty and the staff. In that same data survey, there were over 43,000 staff encounters with school nurses, with a majority of those being first aid administration or blood pressure checks. That bill has passed out of committee, and it will be voted on, hopefully, by this week. The conviction of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was met with many emotions. Here in Central Arkansas, it was exactly what many had hoped for.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts.
It was a moment all eyes were glued to the TV.
I'm watching it and I'm like, maybe this isn't going to happen. Maybe he won't get convicted, or maybe it's going to be a lesser charge.
Keisha Cobb organized protests in North Little Rock following the death of George Floyd, and like thousands of others, she was on the edge of her seat waiting to see whether Officer Derek Chauvin would be found innocent or guilty, and of which charge.
It's our sons, our brothers, our fathers, our uncles. You can feel the emotion in my voice right now. We're not confident sometimes in the judicial system.
As the verdict came in,
guilty,
she had a sigh of relief.
It was surreal. It was very surreal. It still is.
Personally, it's what I expected.
For Pulaski County Sheriff Eric Higgins, he says the conviction was a no-brainer.
If you look at the evidence that was presented, I think the jury made the right decision.
As a law enforcement officer overseeing an entire department, he says it's important officers are held to the same, if not higher, standard.
We have to be held accountable. I think it was good for the community to see a conviction.
For Cobb, she hopes this is the first step in police reform.
I hope this is not some kind of example that's set. This is a standard that is set.
And says this verdict shows voices were heard.
I'm proud. I think what we all need to know is that the world came together, stood up, and said, we don't like this, and something happened.
And that was Claire Kreitz reporting Chauvin's sentencing will take place in approximately 8 weeks. And we are back to wrap it up after this. You're watching Capitol View Sunday morning.
Vacation at home sale at Family Leisure Patio Furniture. The largest in-stock selection at guaranteed lowest prices. Make a splash this summer with a new swimming pool. High-quality swing sets on sale now. Melt away stress. Spas and swim spas are priced to move. Vacation at home sale going on now at Family Leisure.
The pain would like shoot up my heels. I would tiptoe out of bed because my heels hurt so badly. When I went to the Good Feet store, I had a free consultation, free fittings. They allowed me to try on the arch supports. I walked around and I started sobbing because I had no pain. There were no gimmicks. It's just try them on. If it doesn't work for you, then don't buy them.
See if they work for you with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Vacation at home sale at Family Leisure Patio Furniture. The largest in-stock selection at guaranteed lowest prices. Make a splash this summer with a new swimming pool. High-quality swing sets on sale now. Melt away stress. Spas and swim spas are priced to move. Vacation at home sale going on now at Family Leisure.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Clean desk. Hopefully that was a fairly clean show. I'll ask my directors and all of them. But that is it for this week's show. We're back at it next week with an all-new Capitol View. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.